What's good, y'all? It sounds crazy to say, but we are a quarter of the way through of this NBA season already. I don't know about you guys. It feels like just yesterday was the start of the season, but we're already into December. The NBA Cup games are going to be going on. Then we got Christmas, All-Star break, and then we're damn near at the playoffs. It's going so fast already. And to celebrate being a quarter of the way through, I decided I'm going to give my updated award ballots. I made an award ballot preseason. Now we're going to do this 1/4 of the way check-in. I'll probably do one more around All-Star break and then one final one at the end of the season. But I'm getting ahead of myself right now. I'm just going to be going through each award and say who I would vote for if I had a vote and if the season ended today. Before we get into it, I want to remind you guys to leave a like on this video, subscribe to the channel if you already haven't. We're on the road to 500 subscribers. Hopefully we get that by the end of this NBA season. Without further ado though, let's take a look at the first award, and that is MVP. I'm starting off with the heavy hitter here, and my MVP winner so far this season is Nikola Jokic. Coming in closely in second place, we have Giannis Antetokounmpo, and then in third, I have Jason Tatum. I do also want to give a quick shout out to Shai Gilgeous-Alexander over there in Oklahoma City. He is doing his thing. He probably would be fourth. He's just right off the top 3 list for me right now. Having a great season, averaging 30 points per game, 6 rebounds, 5 assists, his normal stuff over there, competing defensively, and of course, OKC is the #1 seed out west. So I definitely think that Shai deserves some type of recognition. He didn't make my top 3 though. In third place, I did have Jason Tatum. Obviously, the Celtics are a well-oiled machine, and at the head of all of that is Jason Tatum. He's having a great season. Honestly, if you ask me, this is probably the best that I've ever seen Jason Tatum play basketball. I think his jump shot is looking absolutely incredible, shooting a bunch of threes and making a bunch of those threes as well, of course. Still getting to the rim, still rebounding the ball, competing defensively, playmaking too for this team. He does a lot for the Celtics, and I know he gets hated on a little bit, so I wanted to show him some love here. He is definitely in MVP contention. If we're being honest though, it probably is a 2-man race as of right now, and that is of course between my top 2 guys of Giannis Antetokounmpo and Nikola Jokic. Giannis, he was kind of held back a little bit in the early season because the Bucks just could not buy a win. They were super below 500, and while Giannis was giving us great performances night in and night out, obviously you have to be winning games to win the MVP award. Now the Bucks are slowly getting back on track. They've had a pretty good win streak going on. A lot of the players have picked up their play, and Giannis has kept up his play from what he's been doing throughout this whole season. Again, like I said with Jason Tatum, this might be the best I've seen Giannis, which is crazy to say about a 2-time MVP winner, 2-time Defensive Player of the Year. Giannis, of course, has been dominant for a big chunk of his career, but right now offensively there is no one that's stopping him from getting to the rim, and he added that little mid-range pull-up that he got. I don't know how you guard him, respectfully. He's also averaging career high in assists per game. The rebounds and defense are there as well. Again, he's impacting all around. He is very, very close to getting my first place vote, but I had to still give that to Nikola Jokic. It sounds crazy to say, but this is the first time Nikola Jokic is averaging a triple-double. Obviously, he has to do it for the rest of the season for it to count, but right now he is putting up 30 points per game, 13 rebounds, 10 assists, just absolute insane video game numbers. And he has just been dominant, taking over games night in and night out. The Denver Nuggets really struggle when he is not on the court, as we've seen in years past. But when he is out there, it's just night and day. He runs the offense to perfection. He's shooting a career high 52% from 3 for some reason. He just keeps getting better and better. The best basketball player in the NBA right now. You could stamp it. He's got the Jacob Black's stamp of approval here. He is my MVP vote as of right now. Next up, we have Rookie of the Year, and winning it, I have Jared McCain. Coming in second, I have Jalen Wells, and in third, I have Stephon Castle. After being regarded as one of the worst draft classes of all time, this draft class has been pretty fun to watch, for me personally at least. There's been a few different guys out there that I've just really loved see them carve out a role early in their career and really show steps of not being the worst draft class of all time. But bringing it back to my top 3 picks, I want to start off by talking about Stephon Castle, who I have in third. He has been great for the Spurs, especially since being inserted in that starting lineup. He just really is doing a lot for the Spurs right now. It starts off defensively for him. That's where he gets his bread and butter. But also playmaking wise, he's had the ball in his hands a lot more than I was assuming in his rookie season. He's done a good job at it. He's also super aggressive getting to the rim. If his jump shot comes around, I mean, he's going to be the perfect guard of the future to run alongside Victor Wembanyama. In second place, I had Jalen Wells, and he was the early front runner to win this Rookie of the Year, I would say. But Jared McCain, he has just turned up his play. We'll get to Jared in a second. But Jalen Wells has still been super impressive for the Grizzlies. He starts for them now, which again is very impressive as a second round rookie. And like I was saying before, it is really interesting to see these guys carve out roles for themselves, especially on a team like the Memphis Grizzlies, who are a competitive team. They're one of the top seeds in the Western Conference, and they're starting rookie Jalen Wells. He just does a lot for this team, competes defensively, shoots the three ball well. It's not often that you see a second round rookie take the starting spot of a seasoned vet like Marcus Smart, especially when you're talking about a competitive contending team. But that's what Jalen Wells has done this season, and he definitely deserves some recognition. But coming in first, I have Jared McCain. He has been the one saving grace of Philly this season. Without him, they would be even more unwatchable than what they are right now. He has really been putting his backpack on throughout all these injuries and just hooping his ass off. He's leading rookies in points per game. He's shooting the three ball incredibly well, creating off the dribble. His playmaking, he's had some pretty good passes that have exceeded my expectations of him so far. I had really expected him to be more of just a off-ball catch and shoot type of guy, but with Maxey, Paul George, and Embiid all dealing with injuries, he's had to take on more of a offensive load. He's done great with it so far, and I think he will continue that. He's my Rookie of the Year winner. Moving on to Defensive Player of the Year, I have Victor Wembanyama winning this one. Evan Mobley comes in second, and then Jaren Jackson Jr. in third. Picking candidates for Defensive Player of the Year was a little bit weird because if you just look historically, majority of Defensive Player of the Year winners are on a top 5 defense. And when you look at the teams with the best defensive rating so far in the NBA, none of them really have Defensive Player of the Year caliber team or players. They really just have more of a fully built out defensive minded team with a great scheme. Looking at teams like Orlando, Houston, OKC, especially now that Chet's gone, a lot of these guys, they don't have that one guy. It's really just relying more on a team defense. There still are some good candidates though this season, and starting off with Jaren Jackson Jr., who got third for me. The Memphis Grizzlies have a top 10 defense in the NBA right now. They are one of the better defending teams, and a lot of that is on Jaren Jackson Jr. protecting the rim. He's atop the league leaders in blocks per game, while also giving you over a steal and a half per game as well. Just runs around defensively, one of the best help defenders and rim protectors in the NBA, while also having mobile feet and able to switch out to the perimeter and guard the pick and roll. Similar things could be said about Evan Mobley and what he's doing for the Cavs defense. The Cavs defense started off super good, and it's kind of trickling down, coming down back to earth, but they still do have one of the top defenses in the NBA, and again, a lot of that is on the back of Evan Mobley and his defensive versatility. And I think Evan Mobley gets hurt a little bit by playing alongside another great rim protector like Jared Allen. I would go along and say that Evan Mobley is the better defender out of the two, the better player out of the two, and the most valuable out of the two. I could definitely see arguments for either way, though, for Jared Allen or for Evan Mobley. Me personally, though, from the things that I've seen this year from Evan Mobley, I definitely got to lean towards him. And then number one, I mean, it's inevitable at this point. Victor Wembanyama is going to win loads of Defensive Player of the Years, and this year might be his first. I was a little bit weary of including Vic as a winner before the season started because of the team not being that good. I thought the Spurs were going to be on the outside of the play-in tournament. As of right now, they are super competitive. Their defense is pretty solid, and again, a lot of that is on Victor Wembanyama. Of course, he is leading the league in blocks per game again in his second season, and just he is otherworldly defensively. I don't think you guys need me to tell you about that, though. He is my Defensive Player of the Year winner. Now for one of the most fun awards, in my opinion, that is Most Improved Player. Winning it, I have Dyson Daniels. Coming in second, I have Isaiah Hartenstein, and then Peyton Pritchard rounds out the top 3. Not to spoil anything, but Peyton Pritchard will be coming back up throughout this video, so I'm not going to talk too much on him, but he still has improved immensely and has a much bigger role and more important role with the Celtics this season. He adds over 6 points per game to his averages, and then also is shooting over 5% better from 3 than last year. He was already a great 3-point shooter. Now he is an elite level 3-point shooter, super high volume, great guy to have coming off your bench. Again, we'll talk about him a little bit later. So let's move on to the guy I have coming in second, and that is Isaiah Hartenstein. As a Knicks fan, it definitely pains me. It's very bittersweet to have him on this list, but he has been hooping ever since he came back from his injury. I almost held him off of this list just because he really only has played like 5 or 6 games so far, but in those 5 or 6 games, he has been dominant. He's adding over 7 points per game, 5.5 rebounds, and over a full assist per game as well onto his averages. He's got a much bigger role out there in OKC, especially with Chet Holmgren being out for the foreseeable future. But since stepping on the court for them, he has been everything they've needed and more. He has been one of the better centers in the NBA so far. Shout out my guy, Isaiah Hartenstein. And then coming in first, I have Dyson Daniels, who has looked like a completely new player over there in Atlanta. And this is where I'll toot my own horn a little bit. Coming into the season, I did have Dyson Daniels third in most improved, so I didn't have him winning the whole thing, but I had him on my short list, and I'm very proud of that one. When the trade went down and he went to Atlanta, I thought it was the perfect position for him to be in. I thought that what they would be getting from Dyson Daniels is a lot of what the Hawks expected to get from DeJounte Murray. Obviously, they're not the same offensive players, but Dyson gives you size to put alongside Trae Young. He brings you incredible defense, leading the league in deflections and steals per game so far, and then also great playmaking as a secondary ball handler. Offensively, though, he has looked a lot more comfortable with the ball in his hands and getting to the rim. He just got to get that three-point shot to fall, but as of right now, man, he's been having a great season. Only a few more awards to go. Moving on to Coach of the Year. Right now, I have Ime Udoka of the Rockets winning it, Kenny Atkinson of the Cavs in second, and then Jordi Fernandez of the Nets coming in third. When I look at these 3 coaches that I've nominated, I see all 3 of them have been able to elevate their teams beyond expectations, at least my personal expectations. When you talk about Jordi Fernandez of the Brooklyn Nets, I had the Brooklyn Nets as the 15th seed in the Eastern Conference coming into the year. I thought they were going to be unwatchable, horrible basketball. I was very, very wrong. Jordi Fernandez has these boys hooping their ass off and playing really competitive, fun basketball. The Brooklyn Nets have been close to the top of my most watched teams so far this season, and a lot of that is because of the effort that they show. They've just been all around a pretty fun team to watch. Don't get me wrong, they're not a good team, and I don't expect much from them, but I do think that it says something about Jordi to be able to instill this culture while still being able to scrape out some competitive wins. Even the ones they don't win, they are still competitive in, and they're still completing the tank job all in one. It's not an easy job to do as a coach, but Jordi has been doing it amazingly. Then when you look at guys like Kenny Atkinson or Ime Udoka, both of these guys are having their teams towards the top of their respective conferences, when I didn't really expect that. I know a lot of people were kind of high on the Cavs. I didn't really think they were going to be higher than like the 4 seed maybe. I was definitely wrong. As of right now, they are the number 1 seed. Started off like 17-0, I think the number was, something crazy, maybe even 20-0. I don't know exactly what it was, but they started off the season super, super hot. They have still continued to play incredibly well. He has revamped the Cavs offense while still keeping their defense up to par as well. It's been a lot of fun. And then Ime Udoka as well, I think even more has surprised people with what the Rockets have been able to do, especially defensively, being one of the top rated defenses while being such a young team. I really have been enjoying watching the Rockets a lot. They play fast, they play hard, and we saw a little bit of this kind of brewing last season with Ime when he first took over. This season in year 2, it's in full effect, and I definitely think he deserves Coach of the Year. The second to last award we have is 6th Man of the Year, while I have Peyton Pritchard winning that one. Russell Westbrook coming in second, and then Naz Reid rounding out the 3. Before I talk about the top 3, I do want to give quick shout outs to Ty Jerome and DeAndre Hunter. Both these guys putting in work off the bench. But in third, I have Naz Reid, the reigning 6th Man of the Year. He's basically doing the same thing he did last year, coming off the bench for the Timberwolves and giving them just instant offense, energy, buckets, just gets the crowd involved and going. I did held him a little bit lower on this list just because of team record. I know 6th Man of the Year, usually you have to be on a pretty competitive, high-seeded team in order to make it. The Timberwolves right now have been struggling, but Naz has been pretty solid for them, so I wanted to give him a shout out. In second, I have Russell Westbrook, who also was on my short list coming into this season. He started off really, really rough. Those first like 5 or so games didn't really look that good, but since then he has really been a much more productive player off the bench. He's leading the NBA in playmaking off the bench while still giving them some scoring, some rebounding, of course, and defensively he shows a lot of effort. There's times where he's just out there running the bench unit for the Nuggets. There's times where he's out there with the starters as well. He's able to do both. I know Russ gets a lot of hate, but when you sit down and actually watch him play, he's been very, very solid for the Nuggets this season. So shout out to Russ. And then in first, I have Peyton Pritchard. Like I said before when talking about most improved player, Peyton is the sixth man of the year in my opinion right now, and I feel like it's not even relatively close. I think he's kind of running away with this award as of right now. Just when I thought the Celtics couldn't get any better, they're able to empower a guy like Peyton Pritchard to come off their bench and be the definition of a spark plug. Literally just comes out there just shooting from the logo, splash most of the time. He is an absolute bucket. He'll take some guys off the dribble a little bit too. He's got a little bit strong, movement when he gets to the rim as well to get the layups and stuff. Peyton Pritchard has exceeded all of my expectations for him this season. He has been hooping his ass off. Shout out to the sixth man of the year. And lastly, we have the newest award of them all, Clutch Player of the Year. Winning it, I have Kevin Durant. In second, I have the reigning Clutch Player of the Year, De'Aaron Fox. And then in third, I have Cam Thomas. Clutch Player of the Year was probably the weirdest award to put my ballot together for, but, I did what I could, I guess. It still is very early in the season, so a lot of this could change as we progress. But in third, I put Cam Thomas. I didn't really want to put him too high because the Nets aren't the best team in the world, but Cam Thomas specifically in the clutch, he's had some great moments so far for the Nets. And the Nets are only one game below 500 in the clutch. They're 4-5, which has been pretty solid. Cam Thomas just has no fear and is one of the most enjoyable players to watch when he is on a heater. And he has had some of those games already so far this season. One game that comes to mind right now is against the Bulls, where he hit just a crazy logo shot on them to force overtime. Incredible game down the clutch for him right there. He's had a few of those moments throughout the season, so I wanted to give him some love. De'Aaron Fox is in second place for this award. He is in second place also for clutch points per game. The only thing stopping me from making De'Aaron the first back-to-back clutch player of the year is the fact that the Kings haven't really been good record-wise in the clutch. They're 5-8 right now, and it's a little bit strange considering they have guys like DeMar and De'Aaron both on the team. Both guys that are notorious for being clutch players. So, if they win some of those games, able to pull them out and get that record back up while De'Aaron's still being such a big part in the clutch, I could definitely see him leapfrogging up and winning this award back-to-back years. But as of right now, I have him in second. And in first, I have Kevin Durant. This might be a little bit of a cop-out answer because he has been hurt for a decent amount of this season. Just got re-hurt a few nights ago as well as I'm recording this video. So hopefully he comes back healthy and can stay healthy. But when he has been, the Suns have been damn near unbeatable. They're 8-0 in Kevin Durant's games in the clutch, and he is atop the league in points per game in the clutch as well. Kevin Durant is one of the legends in the league that I think that if this award has been around his whole career, he probably would have one or two. So I think it would be dope if he won this year, but who knows? Like I said, hopefully he stays healthy. And that is all the major awards. Let me know down in the comments what you guys think of my ballots. Let me know which one you agree with the most and which one you disagree with the most. I love having those conversations with you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to leave it a like, subscribe so you don't miss the next one. In the description, there's links to all my social medias, so make sure you follow me on all those to keep up to date with me. Catch y'all.